and welcome to another edition of the NESN Soccer Show. I'm Mark, you're Marcus, and Champions League, the draw is set. We had the playoff rounds, Liverpool qualified, and we had the excruciatingly, painfully awkward TV broadcast by UEFA, or whoever produces it. I'm pretty sure it's not Fox Sports 1, although I watched it on Fox.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's UEFA. They just string out executive after executive. Ronaldo accepted an award. Totti accepted kind of a lifetime achievement award or career achievement award. Then he helped pick out the balls. But man, it is just weird because there's like 10 different languages going on, and nobody seems to really have a flow. It doesn't seem like there's a manager, controlling the show.
It was like Eurovision without the music.
Yeah, it's just weird. Maybe that's just how TV is in Europe.
Well, it was a lot of languages and cultures to try and pull together, and
everybody looked nice.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, okay. So let's just dive into the groups.
Start with a rant. Okay. Well, I didn't think it was that bad myself, but I didn't really watch it either.
Yeah. All right. Well, so groups are set. Always an exciting time of year. Games get underway September 12th.
Yep.
Which is 2 weeks away, a little more.
Something like that.
So that's fun. The schedule's already set, so you can already look at that. But we'll dive into Group A. Benfica, Manchester United, Basel, and CSKA Moscow. So what we're going to do with each group, we're going to go with top three of each group, and the first to get eliminated, I guess. So
the first two go through to the round of 16.
Right.
The third place team falls into the Europa League round of 32.
Yeah.
And the fourth place team, well, they just stick to domestic soccer for the rest of.
They're done with Europe.
Yeah, after the turn of the year. Group A, it's Manchester United's to lose.
Absolutely.
They've got to be smiling. They started the season well, and they avoided all of the big guns in this draw. Manchester United should run away with the group, and I would have Benfica coming in second, being reigning Portuguese champions, and they're a good team. They've got a lot of experience. They did sell one of their best players to Manchester United, which could hurt them, but I can't see Basel or CSKA Moscow beating them, only because I don't know much about them and haven't heard much about them in the last few months. So pick one of the two. I'll go with Basel into the Europa League.
I'm going to go with CSKA Moscow, just because I have repeatedly seen their name in European play.
To win the group?
No, not to win the group.
Oh,
sorry. To finish.
Well, as you mentioned, you're going 3-2-1. I went 1-2-3.
We're going to get to what the weakest group is, and I guess this is sort of second weakest. But I was already skipping past Man United and Benfica as clearly going to advance. I guess we should also I have a feeling there's going to be sort of a lot of chalk as far as the group stages go. I'm not sure how often upsets really happen. It's just sort of when you get three really big clubs in the same one, it's kind of they're duking it out.
Yeah.
It isn't necessarily something where you see a Moscow beating Manchester United over the course of 6 matches.
No, but it's a tough trip for most teams. These European teams aren't used to traveling great distances, and when they have to go to Moscow, as the Germans learned in 1943 and 1944, it's difficult to win over there. That's the only thing I could see maybe giving them a chance is when they have home field advantage. If they win their 3 home games, I don't see them beating Man United.
No, I don't think so either. So I think I've got Man United winning the group, Benfica finishing second, and Moscow finishing third. But let's keep it rolling on to Group B.
Group B.
Bayern Munich, PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, Anderlecht. And Celtic.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this group because I just love matches with Celtic. They're sort of like a time gone by as far as how great their club is, but they still have a really great fan base, and the home matches are pretty electric.
Yeah.
And when you get sort of like these, all the Champions League matches are huge for every club. but like it's like kind of like a kickback to the old days where Celtics in a huge match. That's why I always tend to just watch all the Celtic Champions League matches because it seems like they're typically in Champions League. But I'm going to take Bayern Munich to win the group and PSG to finish second and Celtic to finish third. I think that Bayern Munich versus PSG, those matches are going to be, that's like quarterfinal, semifinal, final.
Yeah, I've got those
quality.
two in the semifinal.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with PSG to win the group, only because I think they will be, boy, they look tough.
Yeah.
And Bayern Munich have not quite convinced me that they're back as good as they were even 2-3 years ago. I think they went out a little bit, I think they went out in the quarterfinals or semifinals last year, and I wouldn't say they've gotten better since last season.
Okay.
At least they started off well in Germany and their new signings came in and did well, but I'm not sure about them yet. I feel a lot better about PSG, so I'm going to put them on top of the group, Bayern Munich second, Anderlecht third, because I have just little faith in Celtic in the Champions League.
It's a tough league.
It's tough, yeah, and they have it so easy domestically in Scotland. I think it hurts them.
Right.
It's that they, their form and consistency can fluctuate. They just don't have they were undefeated last season at home. I think they won the league, the cup, and the League Cup. And it's too easy for Celtic in Scotland. But then when they go up against teams like maybe not PSG or Bayern Munich, but even Anderlecht, I think if they get down, they could freeze against tough opposition. So we've got Anderlecht going to the Europa League, Celtic going out.
Okay. Group C. Chelsea, Atletico Madrid, Roma, and Karabakh?
Yeah, they're fourth.
Yeah, they're definitely fourth. This is definitely an interesting group because even though Chelsea was able to beat Tottenham last weekend, they kind of are off to a weird start to their season with suspensions and injuries. Atletico looks pretty good. Roma has a lot of new faces as well, but they won their first Serie A match. So I am going to take Atletico to win the group, with Chelsea and Roma sort of battling it out to finish second. And I think I have to say Chelsea will finish second and Roma will finish third. I'm a Roma fan, by the way.
You have no faith in Karabakh.
No, they're going to finish fourth.
Okay. Atletico Madrid's going to win this group because they are quietly one of the powers of Europe still.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see how they do in their new stadium, whether they can have that same energy that they've really rode the last 4 or 5 years. But as long as Diego Simeone's there as coach, Antoine Griezmann's still there, I think they're ahead of Chelsea still, and they'll prove it on the field.
Yeah. Okay.
Roma third.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
To the Europa League. Chelsea second. They'll stutter and
What
stumble.
I'm hoping for is a Chelsea collapse, kind of, which maybe could happen.
Okay.
And it sort of spills over. Like in the Premier League, they're sort of like falling apart and outside the top four and sort of spills over into the Champions League. But didn't that happen to them a couple years ago, and they were performing well in Champions League, but not in Premier League?
Not in the Premier League, yes.
So you just never know how that's going to go. But, all right, Group D, Juventus, Barcelona, Olympiacos, and Sporting, CP.
It's a tough group.
That's a tough group. Olympiacos is a good squad, but Barcelona and Juventus, I think they're going to beat Olympiacos and Sporting both times they play them each time. And the matches against each other will be what determines the winner. I think Juventus will be the winner as Barcelona stays sort of on like the back heel and kind of,
wow.
I don't want to say, well, Juventus was in the final last year.
Yes, they were.
And Barcelona, we've talked about in the past few episodes how they've kind of declined just slightly with Neymar leaving and Messi a little bit older and Luis Suarez is hurt. So I like Juventus to win the group. Not to say that, Barcelona will easily advance, I think, to the knockout stages, but I don't think they'll win the group.
Barcelona will win this group. I still have faith in their ability to get up for the big European games, even though they might not do as well as a lot of their fans would hope and expect. And even if they're in crisis, Barcelona should win this group. Because they've, Juventus is a good team, a great team. They were in the finals 2 of the last 3 years, but they were never really in either of those finals.
Right.
Kind of just happy to be there. I know they hate reaching the finals and losing, but I don't see them catching Barcelona. I have to feel bad for Olympiacos and Sporting because
they're good clubs.
Yeah, and if they're in another group, they have a good chance of advancing. They just happen to be in one with Barcelona and Juventus, and yeah.
It's not quite like the group of death, I think, is reserved for when there's 3 teams that are really good, but it's like group of sharks, and they're in it with the sharks. And Juventus and Barcelona. And Olympiacos and Sporting are kind of the minnows.
Yeah, but I'll put Sporting 3rd.
Okay.
Olympiacos 4th.
I agree. Group E: Spartak Moscow, Sevilla, Liverpool, and Maribor. If you're wondering where Maribor is from, I looked it up. And
Slovenia.
Slovenia.
Yes.
So
champions of Slovenia.
I think Liverpool and Sevilla, I like them to advance out of this group.
In what order?
I think I'm going to... I guess Liverpool will win the group, but I think Sevilla is really good. It's tough to say. I think Spartak Moscow will finish 3rd. I don't know. I just feel like I'm picking Liverpool because I just have this Premier League hammered into me, and La Liga I think is a lot better than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, or at least top half of the league. So I'm saying Liverpool, but I'm ready to be proven wrong.
I'm going to go with Sevilla finishing ahead of Liverpool, based off of their.
I basically agree.
Based off of their European pedigree, and Liverpool, it's questions about their defense still.
Yeah.
And the Champions League is the kind of competition where little mistakes you get punished for them.
You get exposed.
Yeah. They, you can get away with certain things in the Premier League, but in the Champions League, these teams are all trained to capitalize on each other's mistakes. And from what I've seen from Liverpool so far this season, they just don't strike me as group winners, even in this group that it could be theirs for the taking.
Yeah.
I think Sevilla just having their, they're always playing in Europe every single year, and whether it's in the Champions League and then the Europa League, which they go on to win, they got a little more pedigree in recent years. I'm going to go with them. And Spartak Moscow over Maribor.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? All right, Group F: Shakhtar Donetsk. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah. Manchester City, Napoli, and Feyenoord.
Yeah.
So in this group, why don't you take it? Who do you like to win, advance, and Europa?
Manchester City, Napoli, Feyenoord, in that order.
Yeah.
Shakhtar, in other seasons, I would pick them as possible sneaking into the round of 16, or even into the Europa League. But I'm not sure if they're playing at home yet. They're based in eastern Ukraine, but due to the war between Russia and Ukraine, which
interesting to note. Well, you might have just been about
Russian
to say.
teams and Ukrainian teams weren't allowed to be drawn against each other for that reason. I think they're too far from home. I think last season they were exiled playing in Western Ukraine, far from their fan base and stadium.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure if they're back, but things aren't running at that club the way they should, because things aren't running in the region the way they should.
Right.
Feyenoord, Dutch champions, not as good as they were last year, but I think they'll be able to sneak in. They've got some good young players, but Manchester City and Napoli are clearly the class of this group, and Manchester City will win the group because
they're very, very good.
Yeah.
I agree that Manchester City will win the group, but I think the matches between Napoli and Manchester City will be a lot better than people think they'll be.
Yeah.
Napoli, I think, maybe at the forefront of this sort of Italian renaissance going on in the Serie A right now, and teams sort of getting better. And they've been good for a couple of years, like challenging, and they looked really good in the Champions League knockout stages.
Right. Yeah,
so
they picked apart Nice.
Yeah. So I really like them to perform well against Man City, and they'll probably have a very tough matchup in the round of 16, but again, to perform very well in that matchup, and if for whatever reason it's a favorable one, maybe advance to the quarters.
Sure.
Group G, Monaco, Porto, Besiktas, and RB Leipzig.
Red Bull Leipzig.
Yeah. Who do you like out of this group? This is a bit of a weird group.
Yeah, this one is tough to call because Monaco, you don't know. I don't know. The transfer window closes in about 7 days. I don't know how many of their current top players they'll keep. Kylian Mbappe is the one I'm really thinking of, who was the breakout star of last year's Champions League. There's talk of him going to PSG, of all places. So that could happen in the next week, could weaken Monaco significantly. Porto, they'll be interesting to watch. They're kind of one of those teams that's always in the Champions League, so I'm going to plug them as going through just because there's so much experience at that club. And they're a team that reaches the round of 16 and then usually goes out. Red Bull Leipzig.
Yeah, on the rise.
I'm going to pick them as the group runner-up.
Okay.
They've been climbing. They managed to keep their best players. A few of them won the Confederations Cup with Germany. This is a team that's going places, and I think this group is weak enough for them to navigate on their first Champions League outing. Third place, once again, we don't know what Monaco is going to look like, but I'll have them third.
Okay. I guess I like everything you said about Leipzig, but I'm picking Porto and Monaco to advance. I think Porto's going to win the group.
Okay.
Monaco will finish second. Leipzig third. On to Group H.
This is a great group.
This is, oh man, I can't wait for these matches.
Yeah.
Real Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, Tottenham, and Apoel
Nikos. They're in Cyprus. They've been in the Champions League a few times, actually, and done okay.
Well,
relatively.
It's obvious why any soccer fan would be excited for this group.
Best team in the world.
I think that's
right
where I
now.
got trouble from.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Ronaldo looking great. The suspension doesn't apply to the Champions League matches.
No.
And, I mean, on Dortmund, it's a lot of great players from an American perspective. Christian Pulisic, who has been playing in both the German Super Cup, I don't know the exact name of it, but in their first match, he scored.
He was named Bundesliga Man of Match Day Week, Player of the Week.
Yeah.
In Week 1.
So, and then Tottenham, second in Premier League last season, looking to have another good campaign this year in the Premier League, and I think they're probably really disappointed with this draw.
They have to be.
But as are Dortmund probably. I'm sure Real Madrid is kind of like, okay, it doesn't really matter who we play. But, there's so much to love about this group. I like Real Madrid to win the group. I like Dortmund to finish second and Tottenham to finish third. What do you think?
We are in perfect alignment and agreement. Real Madrid is the class of the group. Dortmund beat them last year in the group stage. They finished top of their group, and Real Madrid was second. Real Madrid won't let that happen again.
Yeah.
Dortmund, I don't know how good they are relative to last season. We just don't know yet. They have a new coach. But I think they have a little bit more talent and experience at this level than Tottenham does. And I think Tottenham's going to be struggling at Wembley Stadium. I mean, we've been talking about that for months now, where playing on that big field, things have changed for them.
And that's such a big thing of the Champions League, is sort of the home field advantages.
Right.
And all the different factors involved, and to sort of not completely wash it away. It's still a travel, and you're still in England and away from
the same city.
Yeah. But it's It's tough.
The surroundings are different. No chance for Apoel?
No.
Just
I would. What do you think? Maybe no points. I would say no points.
0 points. I'll give them a point.
Versus who? Maybe versus Real Madrid if they meet them when they've already clinched the group.
I don't know.
But even then, if they're taking on the Real Madrid B squad, I would take Real Madrid.
Sure. Maybe they'll get a point against Tottenham away.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so those are all the groups, but there's 5 Premier League clubs in in Champions League this year: Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Tottenham. What squad has the easiest road to the knockout stages and maybe to win their group?
In order: Liverpool, Manchester United, Chelsea, Manchester City, Tottenham.
Yeah.
I did the headline for Liverpool's draw, and I just said 3 beatable opponents. Sevilla is their toughest competition. I think they've landed in the weakest group, and they should be really happy on their return to the Champions League. I can't see how this draw could have gone any better for them. Manchester United, they're also sitting pretty based on their draw. A little bit of travel,
very pretty.
Little bit of travel to Moscow, but everything is first class.
Yeah, they got a nice plane.
Yeah, chartered flights, and they'll be okay. Chelsea, as long as they don't slip up against Roma or Karabakh.
Hey, that Stadio Olimpico can be tough in these Champions League matches.
It can be, yes.
Yeah.
But I think Chelsea should be able to hold off the other 2. Manchester City. Let me flip Manchester City.
I was just about to say I agree, except we're going to flip.
Yeah. Manchester City's got something just short of a cakewalk. And
I agree. I will say, though, that I think Napoli will beat them at home. I think when in Italy, in Napoli will win that match. Like 2-1, very close, but they'll win.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. And it won't, it's not like, and then Manchester City will maybe go 4-1-1 in the group stage, something like that, to win the group.
Yeah, and then poor old Tottenham. That's a rough draw.
They have to win the group, they have to beat Apoel twice. They have to win both those matches. I'm just saying, in the scenario in which, not to win the group, to advance to the knockout stages, they would have to win both those matches, probably win versus Dortmund at home, and maybe steal a point on the road, and then maybe steal a point from Real Madrid at home.
10 points could do it. I'm going to have to trust your math. I don't see it happening, but
well, that's what I'm saying. It's like what I just said is extremely difficult.
That is absolute best case. The stars align for Tottenham,
right?
And that's how they go through.
Yeah.
Absent another total. What do we just have? Total solar eclipse.
I have a good friend that's a Tottenham fan as well. He's going to be disappointed. But all right, so
should call and check on him. Make sure
he was pretty upset after last weekend too. So. All right, so when we look at the group stage quickly, we've mentioned these matches already, but what are the biggest matches for you to finish up here?
Barcelona, Juventus, 2 meetings. Those will be good.
Yeah.
PSG, Bayern Munich. Do not miss those. Whatever you do, they'll be a lot of fun. And then that's 2 teams that, on paper, are good enough to reach the semifinal or final if things go their way. So, when we're talking about soccer at its highest possible level, that's the matchup right there.
Yeah.
Chelsea versus Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
That's like the Diego Costa Bowl. He's on strike at Chelsea, wants to get a transfer to Atletico Madrid. Now that they're drawn against each other,
I don't think that's happening.
No way does Chelsea sell him to Atletico Madrid right now. And then also Fernando Torres is now playing for Atletico Madrid. He was maybe Chelsea's most famous flop of a striker.
Yeah.
So it's like a tale of 2 Chelsea strikers and Atletico Madrid strikers in Diego Costa and Fernando Torres. And I think by the time they meet, I haven't seen the schedule or which days they'll actually meet, but I think both of those strikers will have big roles to play in the outcome of those games. And then the last one, Real Madrid, Dortmund, that's going to be just, it's going to be a lot of fun. Dortmund doesn't back down against Real Madrid. They didn't last year. Both games they played, they were very entertaining, and lots of goals in there. So
I mean, needless to say, agree with everything you just said. I will add, though, that the home matches for Roma and the home matches for Tottenham versus their teams, those are going to be huge. They're going to be great atmospheres. And one's Wembley Stadium, the other's the Stadio Olimpico in Rome. Great atmospheres in matches that, if these teams are going to advance to the knockout rounds, they have to get points.
Certainly.
And that will just make everything very entertaining. And those are kind of matches that maybe you weren't thinking about must-see that you might want to tune into.
So you're saying Tottenham, Real Madrid, Tottenham, Dortmund at home.
Right. And then Roma versus Atletico and Roma versus Chelsea in Rome.
And they'll be so important for those teams.
Yeah.
That, everybody.
That's when it gets great.
We spent the last half hour counting them out, and everybody's going to be, counting them out. Those are the games that they prove themselves.
Right.
Or at least try.
Yeah. I mean, if they are going to be, surprising everybody, that's when it's going to be actually happening.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we ran through the whole tournament there. Matches get underway September 12th and 13th.
Right.
Do we have a final word? Anything else you want to mention before we don't revisit Champions League? Probably until after the first round of matches.
Sure. Can I do two?
Absolutely.
First, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is going back to Manchester United. Just announced it today. He will compete with Romelu Lukaku, I think maybe in the second half of the season. He's still rehabbing from his injury, but he doesn't strike me as the type of player that's going to be sitting behind somebody else. So that'll be interesting to see how they manage the games once he comes back.
I guess the move to LAFC fell through.
Maybe that waits until next summer.
Right.
They'll be in their first year. I don't know. Second one, Wayne Rooney retires from international duty.
Yeah.
I was surprised because at the start of the season, people were talking about Rooney has to come back to England, and he came out and said, "I'm not playing anymore." It's kind of a surprise statement. I guess he really wants to focus on Everton, but his legacy is secure. He's England's most appearances for any outfield player, all-time leading scorer, but he also symbolizes England's failures in the international in major tournaments, where I think he scored the most tournament goals in England history, or tied, but he's been part of two of the worst teams England has ever sent anywhere, and that's the 2014 World Cup team, of which he was the captain, and the Euro 2016 team where they lost to Iceland.
Right.
In the quarterfinals, I believe it was. Quarterfinals around
16 or quarters.
Yeah, so it's a mixed legacy Rooney has.
It was round of 16.
Yeah. And I always say,
and then Wales beat Iceland, I think. No.
Yes, in the quarterfinals. Right. Yeah. So if Wayne Rooney had been born 10 years earlier or 10 years later, he might have been part of some great teams. But it was just when he was born. It was at the tail end of one great generation, and England's got young teams that are winning a lot. So, maybe he would have done a lot better, but that's his lot in life.
Well, it is, I guess, a little surprising that he didn't hang on to play in the World Cup next summer.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to go out on your own terms and not have, I don't know, Landon Donovan type situation. Where you're a surprise cut or anything, but he's playing well at Everton.
Yeah, and he could always, reverse his decision. He might make him grovel and kiss the ring. But
well, I guess that does it for us. I think we're going to try and be back next week with a U.S. men's national team preview.
Yeah, that's coming up.
World Cup qualifiers back underway. But thanks for joining us this week. Hope you liked our Champions League breakdown, and we'll see you again next week.